to know 10 ways parents trigger anger in kids? They do. I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach parenting and good communication all over the world through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, we're talking about anger, triggers, and what parents have to do with it. In this video, we're going to understand how anger is triggered, and then I'm going to share with you 10 ways that parents trigger anger in their children. Everyone experiences anger sometimes. It's a normal thing. We need to know that. But what we do with that anger and where it came from, now that's something we've got to figure out. It's good to deliberately decide what to do with our feelings. When a person experiences anger, it could be because they are triggered by something. When you're triggered, what that means is that there is something that reminds you of another time. Sometimes there are thoughts that trigger us, sometimes there are images that trigger us, sometimes there are sounds or smells, locations that can feel triggering. Basically, when a person is triggered, it usually means that they are experiencing some anxiety, worry, fear because of an association with whatever that thing is. I don't really like the term triggered that much. I'm going to be completely honest, because I do feel like it gives the impression that I can't do anything about it, because you absolutely can do something about it. It could be that you are afraid of heights. So one time I had a big fall. In fact, it was a very big fall. I ended up breaking my back and stuff. And after that, I definitely did not like high things, okay? And really, I still don't like high things. You might say I'm afraid of heights. But there is a way for me to handle that. When I start feeling like, oh, that's high, don't get too close to the edge. Wait, watch those people that they don't get too close to the edge, or something like that. I can say, wait a second, right now, I am just starting to have anxiety about this. I know that I don't like heights, but that doesn't mean that I need to ruin this experience for everyone and become controlling of everyone and be so fearful that I can't experience this. And so I need to let those thoughts just go away, not let them control me. I need to drop the subject on those fears while still keeping healthy boundaries that aren't fearful boundaries. So that's what I do. I got myself to the point where a couple of years ago, I actually went skydiving with my son Porter. I never thought I would see the day when I would do that. Sure, I always thought it would be neat and I put it on my bucket list to do, but never really thought I would because I'm so afraid of heights. But I'm so glad I did it, because now I recognized that I really can overcome a fear if I want to at any time. So there's my little soapbox statement on triggers. I know they're real. We all have different triggers, but that doesn't mean we need to let the triggers overpower us. Now, some people are triggered to anger because they have handled the situation with anger before, or they've seen someone else handle the situation, or maybe they just have a fast track to back brain for anger. Maybe they just don't know certain things yet. They don't know the skills that can help them, so they don't have to go back to that old habit. There's a lot of teaching that can happen, and I want to help you with that. Parents are supposed to be training their children, right? Of course, that's what this whole channel's about. If you're subscribed to this channel, you know that I am all about helping parents learn self-government so that they can train their children in self-government too. Well, sometimes parents, with the best intentions, unknowingly end up triggering their children to become angry. This doesn't mean that the parent is necessarily at fault for the anger, because the child does need to learn what to do with those triggers. But it could be that the parent is actually making it very difficult for the child to overcome their anger. Here are 10 ways that parents often trigger anger in their children. Number 1, ignoring the child. One of the main reasons that people choose to be angry is because they don't feel understood. They're trying to get a point across to someone and nobody's listening or paying attention. Ignoring is a sure way to bring out the worst behavior in your child. Number 2, putting off the needs of the child. If you put off the needs of your child will become anxious and they could start to get angry to try to get your attention. If your child is hungry, if it's mealtime, make sure that you try to see to that. Of course, people have to be patient, sometimes wait for things, but make sure that you acknowledge that you know your child has needs. Do they need to get to bed? Do they need to eat food? What is it that they need? Make sure that you express that. That will decrease their anxiety and hopefully make it so they don't choose to go to anger to get your attention. Number 3, threatening the child. That's never a good idea. When you threaten your child to try to promote good behavior, this actually produces stress hormone. It makes it so that the child feels like something might go wrong at any moment. This is actually going to be a catalyst to anger if you're not careful. Threatening the child is basically you starting a power struggle with them, so stay away from that one. Number 4, wrongfully blaming the child or giving misinformation about the child to other people. We really don't want to get in the habit of blaming our child, especially publicly, to other people. That's just negative. It makes the child feel unprotected and unsafe. So stay away from that. Don't talk to other people about the flaws in your child, especially in front of your child. When we are correcting our children or discussing a problem with the children, it's much better for us to address it with the child and use the teaching self-government skills that they know instead of making it personal. Anytime you make it personal by blaming the child for something and putting into question their motive behind some action, they are going to get frustrated, feel misrepresented, and feel like they need to stand up for themselves. That's the recipe for anger. Number 5, not pre-teaching the child. If you do not pre-teach the child often enough, then the child will feel surprised by certain things coming their way. Surprise produces additional anxiety. Anxiety leads to more frustration and oftentimes anger. Number 6, changing rules on the child in the moment. It's always better to be predictable than manipulative. When you change the rules that your child thinks exists just to try to get their attention or to get them to do what you want, this will seem unjust. Many children have a bent for justice, honesty, fairness, and this will seem like it's just not fair. They will feel themselves being manipulated by you. They won't like it, so don't be surprised if it produces anger. Number 7, taking sides with siblings or other family members in a family debate. Sometimes families have things that they don't agree upon. We all have our own opinions, and we have our experiences and our lens or the way that we see things around us. This means that sometimes there can be some disagreement about certain experiences or moments that happened. It is always a good idea to just focus on the facts and the skills instead of picking sides. When a child feels like they haven't done anything wrong and someone chooses a side in an argument, that is going to lead to anger. Number 8, using physical force with a child. This should be a no-brainer. I think some people think, though, that if they use physical force, their child will be so shocked that the child will just submit to them and be beat into submission, into good behavior. But there are many children that is exactly what they are waiting for, to fight you. They are the type that get pulled easily into power struggles. Anyway, do you feel good after you're using physical force with a child? Not usually. Let's stick to words, heart, understanding. That's always going to be better than physical force. Number 9, talking back to a child who is arguing with you. Sometimes children forget to use their self-government skills like disagreeing appropriately, which you can learn more about on this channel. Instead, they start talking back to you. The worst thing you can do is talk back to the child and debate them right then. Nope. We need to get ourselves back to calmness, respect. We need to use our skills properly, which means that we might have to go to a correction before we can go to fully understanding their side of things. This could frustrate them a little bit more, but if they know the format for how corrections will happen, it should be predictable enough that they will go along with it and allow themselves to be corrected so that they can get to a place of understanding. When people interrupt, that is a controlling behavior. If you allow that to work, you have a problem. But if you talk back to it, you're actually showing them that it works, so you still have a problem. Number 10. Being overly controlling or unreasonable. You know yourself. Do you have a tendency to control? Some parents do. If you have a tendency to control your child too much just because it's easier and you don't have to deal with a lot of the childhood issues that they're facing, just recognize that that could get old after a bit and the child could start to push back. Sometimes, in fact, oftentimes, the most obedient children end up becoming the ones who push back the most. Now, what about that being unreasonable thing? Sometimes parents just control just for the sake of it, but we should try to see things from the child's point of view. Be reasonable. Why would they care about playing that game? Why would they care about doing that to their bicycle or reorganizing their room? And is it really that big of a deal? Let them experience things and learn things. Be reasonable. There are definitely ways that children can get themselves angry and trigger themselves to anger, but there are many ways that parents end up unknowingly triggering their children to anger. Don't let that happen to you. Learn the skills that you need for self-government and teach them the skills too. That way you'll both be on the same page and you don't have to have the angry stuff happen anymore. Trust me, I know it's possible. I've taken in some of the most difficult children into my home and have taught them how to be calm and get rid of some of those anger management issues that they've been dealing with. If this video was interesting to you, I'm quite sure that you will love my next video, which is a full-length class all about the nuts and bolts of self-government. It's called The Not So Known Secret for Parenting Success. Click on the link to that video now. I'll see you there.